Elizabeth Opert, love and relationship coach from NY, the Big Apple.
Yeah.
Although you do live in London
Yes,
currently.
yes. By
Yeah,
way of London.
by way of London. How are you, Jessica?
I'm doing really good. Today's a
Oh,
good day.
so good to see you. So,
Yeah, thanks for having me.
thank you. So, your work as a love and relationship coach, you're quite a specialist coach,
Mhm.
very highly qualified. Um, what's the sort of work that you do with people? I'm going to say in normal life.
Yeah, yeah. So I work with kind of two or three different groups of people.
Hmm.
One is men and women, so really kind of fierce, feminista, kickstar, rock star women, and
Yeah,
evolved relationship ready men who are out in the wilds of the modern dating jungle looking for love.
yeah.
And then I also work with really brave couples and empowered individuals that are in relationships and they're fighting the good fight to keep their love thriving.
Hmm.
So that's
Brilliant,
my area of expertise. And
brilliant.
what I'm working towards is with these people is trying to transform the way they give, receive, respond, and engage with love.
Yeah. So, I suppose I could talk about what I've experienced in isolation is
Hmm.
that what I miss most of all is people,
Hmm.
that I really appreciate the relationships I have within my family and close friends.
Hmm.
And for me, because I'm in lockdown by myself, I appreciate that it must be quite intense being in lockdown as a couple.
Yeah. I think that what this does is it magnifies a few different things. So
Hmm.
if you're single, yeah, um, and if it's magnified for you, the sense of loneliness or desire to be in a relationship,
Hmm.
like I just want to let you know that's completely natural
Yeah,
because we're facing this big life event, and especially in those first few weeks when
yeah,
the uncertainty of health safety, like disappearing loo roll, like is this going to be like a movie? Where are the zombies? When
yes,
we it's kind of like, well, where's my person? Like
yeah,
it magnifies, oh shit, I don't have my person.
yeah,
And I don't say that because everybody, you need to have somebody.
yeah,
I don't believe in that at all. But if it magnified you, that sense of loneliness,
yes,
that's okay. And like,
yeah,
listen, we're hardwired as human beings for connection.
yeah,
So therefore, loneliness, which gets a really bad rap, like a
yeah,
shame rap. Yeah, we
yeah,
shame loneliness. Loneliness is one of the most natural human experiences and emotions to have
yeah,
because we're hardwired for connection.
yeah.
And then you have couples who are either locked down together or
Hmm.
locked down separately.
Hmm.
And this is magnifying for them, those that are locked down together. It's possibly, and what I have been finding is it's magnifying what were maybe at the time small cracks in a
Yeah,
relationship, right? Um, that you've been able to plaster over
yeah,
by being busy and work and
yeah,
kids and are now bursting at the seams. These are like fissures, like with
yeah,
steam and lava coming out of it.
yeah.
And for those that are maybe in new relationships, so they're locked down but not with that person,
Hmm.
it's magnifying that, how do I keep the intimacy going? How do
Yeah,
I continue to move this relationship forward
yeah,
with being separate and not being able to physically see and touch one another?
yeah. I've spoken to a few people who have felt so insecure about their new relationships
Mm-hmm.
that they have finished them rather than sit with the insecurity,
Yep.
then recognized what was going on and then sorted it out. But I think that's really hard to do from a distance.
Yeah, I've also seen people who have broken their quarantine or put family at risk to see this new partner
Mhm.
by breaking lockdown or quarantine because that of fear, and it's and again, it's that fear of like, well, if I don't do this, it might not work out.
Yeah.
Scarcity. And like
Yeah.
scarcity is abound right now. So even now we're I don't know, how many weeks are we into this? Because girl, I can't even keep up anymore.
Like it's May
Now the
tomorrow.
uncertainty is less on health. Am I going to get this? Am I going to die
Yeah.
from it? And more on what is my future going to look like? Am I going to have a
Yeah.
job? Is my business going to close? Am I going to be furloughed? Or I am
Yeah.
furloughed. How am I going to, get the money to pay things? And so it's replaced all other, anxiety and stresses
Yes.
are heightened. So we're in this kind of very scarcity world and mindset is
Yeah.
just grabbing at us.
Yeah.
And so, there's just not enough. So people get
Yeah.
caught up with like, well, I have to do, if I don't go see this person, then it's not going to last. Or,
Yeah.
we can't see each other. This is too difficult. I'm not going to play. I'm going to quit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the couples living together, it's just kind of like, especially I think if you have children as well.
Yes.
I mean, listen, I'm married. We don't have children. My husband has been working from home now. We are at least 2 weeks before lockdown even happened.
Why?
And I mean, listen, the other day I was like, Corona, can I have you? Please go back to the office. Like he's taken over my office completely.
Yeah.
And we spend a lot of time together, but it's still kind of like,
And you have the tools.
I have the tools, but
Yeah.
now we're talking about 24/7. And
Yeah.
I need a certain amount of alone time. And I,
Yeah.
and I kind of want to talk to people about that,
Yes.
especially, I think, especially women
Yes.
who are in a relationship, who are home with kids, who feel
Yeah.
the weight of the world that they have to, they now all of a sudden, and I'm not saying that men aren't participating in this,
Yeah.
but
Sure.
women have a tendency to take on that. We're socialized for that caretaker role.
Yes.
And so now it's like you have a job, you're working from home, you have kids, you're now also supposed to be a teacher all of a sudden,
Hmm.
and 24/7 entertainment, and and
Yeah.
try to continue to nurture and grow, or at least survive in your relationship.
Yeah.
And that alone time, if you have to go lock yourself in a cupboard with a pack of biscuits to get it, you know,
Yeah.
um, do it. Because even with my
Yeah.
partner and I, when we take long holidays together,
Yeah.
I take a day, I at least take one day, if not
Yes.
a few hours here and a few hours there, to just go bugger off and be on my own.
Yes.
Because that's so valuable to me
Yeah.
to have that time.
Yeah.
So even if it's going and taking a walk around the block and listening to a podcast,
Yes.
10 walks, 10 laps around the block,
Yes.
is to carve out that time. And guess what? Your partner needs time away from you too.
Yeah.
And they may not be voicing it.
Yeah.
And the same
Yeah.
thing, men as well, or gay relationships, whatever it is that you're into beyond the
Yeah.
binary, like alone time, even though we feel like, oh my God, all I have is alone time. Actually, in some ways, we don't have enough quality alone time, even in this lockdown,
Yes.
between the news feed, social media, and the news and Netflix. And, I've had Zoom video calls with friends that I love, but we don't even speak once a month
Yeah.
back in the States. We talk
Yeah.
every single week now.
Yeah.
It's like I'm actually, the first few weeks was like overly connected, if you will.
Yeah.
And I needed to dial it back
Yes.
because I was in that scarcity.
Yeah. I
And
did that yesterday. I
yeah,
totally overdid everything yesterday.
yeah,
It felt okay. I felt good. But I had really bad nightmares, which means that I'm not feeling good actually.
yeah,
It means I need to take more time out and process my feelings.
yeah,
Otherwise they come out through nightmares.
absolutely. And the thing is that there's only three rational emotional responses to what's going on right now. I
Hmm.
mean, truly, because we are under threat,
Yes.
which sounds really serious, but we are under threat. Our little brain knows that something is really not okay.
Yes.
And so the three most natural responses to threat is going to be fight, flight, or freeze.
Hmm.
And that's typically, after we're done responding to anxiety,
Hmm.
fear,
Hmm.
and or denial.
Mm.
And I think we've all experienced and seen other people go through denial phases.
Yeah, I'm massively a denial. That's like a real go-to place for me. Denial.
Yeah. I mean,
It's
even
fine.
something as
Everything will be
simple.
fine. It's not that bad. Yeah,
Absolutely. I mean, eating
yeah,
so like a week before lockdown, I knew it was coming. I didn't know when, but I knew it was coming. And it sounds as silly as it is. I had a shellac manicure, right? So I was like, I need to go get this taken off because
yeah,
get taken off by yourself is a nightmare. Um,
yes,
and so I went, made the appointment, got it taken off. And as I was sitting there was a woman next to me getting a full set of fake nails, right? Which I'm not judging her for that. But
no,
like you have to get that attended to
yeah,
professionally, like every
yeah,
2 weeks. And I'm looking at her, and then she's like, she's talking like nothing's happening. And I was like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like total denial.
yeah,
And so it's as little as stuff like that. So you've
yeah,
got the denial, then you have people that are just super balls of anxiety, right?
yes,
And worrying, just worrying about family, worrying about friends, worrying about loved ones, worrying about jobs, worrying about money, worrying about toilet paper, worrying about food, worry. And
yeah,
then you have people that are just absolutely feared up, you
yes,
know? And I do separate that anxiety and fear, although they are like besties,
yes,
right? And the fear is just like, I'm terrified of what's going to happen next.
yes, yeah,
And, there's only so much you can be under threat and regulate that quietly,
yes,
And so, like, to have the expectation that you or your partner are going to be able to manage that, I don't care how much skills you got. I
yes,
don't care how many degrees you got. I don't
yeah,
care if you're like, Oprah, okay?
yeah,
Like, expecting to do that for weeks on end, nonstop, is absolutely unrealistic.
yeah,
So it's going to bubble out. It's going to come out sideways.
yeah,
And one of the first things when this pandemic started, I kind of pivoted a little bit. I normally talk all about dating, love, and dating, relationships, and love, and
yeah.
dating. And I decided to offer up my, tribe of followers a series called Self-Care During Crisis.
Yeah, I've been following this series. It's been really, I found it so beneficial.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
self-care is always part of relationship coaching, but it's a smaller part.
yeah,
But because I just felt like this is what we need. And the very first thing I started with, and you may or may not remember this, is be kind to yourself and others
mm,
and be very, very quick to forgive yourself and
mm,
others right now.
mm.
And I just did a masterclass online on Saturday for people in relationships and started
Yeah,
with that same mindset offering.
yeah. Was that the one that
Because,
I went to?
no, it was
Or
a
no, another
Saturday
one?
night. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so, the thing is that, so like I had to be quick to forgive that woman who was getting the double set of nails. You know what I mean? Like I'm quick to forgive people around me, my partner, myself, other people that I have relationships with, friendships, and who were all responding very differently.
yeah,
And some of which, I had a couple of friends that threw all their toys out of the pram and got really nasty, right? And I
yeah,
just kept, I'm going to hit them with kindness. I'm going to
yeah,
forgive them right now. I'm
yeah,
not going to take it personally
yeah,
because I know it's them just trying to manage or being unable to manage
yeah,
what's happening right now.
yeah,
This is like unprecedented. I know we hate
yeah.
it's like we're so sick of hearing that word. This is unprecedented, but it
But it's
is.
true.
Our generation, our parents' generation even didn't go through anything like this.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody's ever been up to anything like this before.
So if you're feeling completely unprepared, welcome.
Yeah,
You're in the club with the rest of the entire
yeah,
world. Yeah.
yeah. The global club of the unprepared masses.
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah,
we just don't take things personally, and I had to have a chat with my own partner
yeah,
about some feelings that I had coming up, just around things getting done around the house. And,
hmm,
I mean, he's working like a mad person right now because of
hmm,
his job. So he's up, and he's working from like 8 in the morning till sometimes 7 o'clock at night,
yeah,
just nonstop, 20 minutes for lunch.
yeah,
And doesn't get out and go walking, that's a whole nother story. But,
hmm,
and I had to kind of say to him, like, listen, I've just assumed all these responsibilities
Yeah.
that normally we share and normally we have a cleaning person for.
Same. I normally have a cleaning person as well.
Because I see him, I see how hard he's working,
Yeah.
right? Like, being in a high equity relationship doesn't mean that everything's always going to be split 50-50,
Yeah.
you
Yes.
know? And so, like, I've assumed some of the responsibilities, quite a bit of them, happily. And I kind of said to him, when you have a list, and even on the weekends you don't do, and I have to continue to ask you,
Yeah.
there's a loss of equity in this
Yeah.
relationship
Yeah.
that I need. That's why I chose you. It's one of the reasons I love about our relationship is there's such a sense of us being shoulder to shoulder, partnership, fighting the good fight. And, instead of slamming doors or nonverbal communication, like
Yeah.
sighing, right? Or just going on strike,
Yes.
like protest behavior. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just to say, hey, do you have a couple minutes for us to talk? And to say, this is what's going on. This is the need I have that's not being met. And,
Yeah.
and saying, if you would just do this or this, like this issue would go away from me.
Yeah. So lovely to be able to have a relationship where you're able to express any difficulty
Yep.
and it's heard and
Yeah.
acknowledged.
Conflict gets a bad rap because most of us have absolutely no idea how to resolve conflict.
Yeah.
And conflict is, again, so natural. You cannot
Mhm.
have two human beings in the same space at the same time for any length of time, friendships, romantic or other, without conflict arising. Friction, that's all it is friction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, sometimes conflict can be that friction can be something that creates, ups a couple to the
Yeah.
next level.
Yeah.
But having those conflict resolution skills, first within myself,
Yes.
and I really need to express that because it's like I need to resolve the conflict within me
Yeah.
because I've got a chatterbox little head up here,
Yeah.
and there's an inner meaner girl inside of here.
Inner mean girl. I love that expression that you use.
Yeah,
The inner
there's an
mean
inner mean girl
girl.
in here, my inner, like, my inner shit talker, right? Who
Yeah.
says, I don't even know why you're in this relationship.
Yeah.
Maybe you
See?
made the worst decision ever of your life. You
Yeah.
wasted all this time.
Yeah. I
He's
told you
never,
you couldn't do
yeah,
this.
he's never going to change and blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
So first I have to resolve that conflict within myself before I can then approach him,
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm going to be coming with all sorts of hurt feelings and anger and
Mm-hmm.
resentment and all kinds of stories,
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of narratives going on in my head that are so not helpful.
Yeah.
Like that inner critic is not, not helpful.
Yeah.
And
And this
so,
is, yeah, this is what we were talking about in the book club about Brené Brown saying
yes.
the story that I'm in
Yeah, the story
is
I'm making up,
the story I'm making up
because it's not the
is
story you're in, it's the story you're
the
making up.
story. That's it. The story I'm making up is yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
The
story
story.
I'm making up
Yeah.
right now is that my husband doesn't respect me, thinks I'm a little housewife, right? And, is a lazy and all these things.
Yeah.
And somebody who's working like a dog like he is not lazy.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's like, this is the story I'm making up.
Yes.
This is the come around, children, sit around the fire. It's story time. And have I got a doozy for you? So I have to resolve that conflict within me. And then I can approach and have a nice, calm, generous conversation.
Generous. I love that word.
Yeah.
Generous.
Like,
Yes.
I preach this from the mountain up top, if you will. Goodwill, goodwill, goodwill. Good, and all goodwill means is I'm on your side and I'm rooting for you to succeed, and I'm rooting for myself to succeed, and
Yeah.
I'm coming to you with the generous perspective that you want what's best for me,
Nice.
right?
I
Like
love that.
I'm not assuming the worst of you. I'm
Yes.
assuming the best of you.
Yeah.
And when I come to a conversation with my partner, from that place, it goes, first of all, it goes wonderfully,
Mm-hmm.
and it also, that's the reality. Like, I know this
Yeah.
man
Yes.
loves me,
Yeah. Nice.
and I know that I'm worthy of that love.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's the biggie. I know that I'm
yes.
worthy of it.
Because if I don't think I'm worthy, I'm always going to be kind of hustling for my own self-worth, if you will,
Yeah.
and assuming, and it's one of the reasons why now we can finally dovetail into the 5 love languages. Is,
Yes.
well, one of the reasons why people who are in relationships, women, the people I work with who are not in relationships,
Mhm.
self-love and building self-esteem are a huge part of the work that we do.
And for me, this situation, being a long-term single woman,
Mm-hmm.
has really highlighted that the inability that I've had to be with myself,
Mm-hmm.
the total inability I've had to be with myself, which has been enforced upon me
Mm-hmm.
now. Um, the the desire for others to sort things out for me,
Mm-hmm.
be my entertainment, take my mind off things, distract me, um, and the uh, need for me to soothe myself.
Yeah. And I want to actually just, I'm going to take a moment here and challenge you, Claire. So there was something you said that's been enforced upon me.
Yes,
And
through
where,
quarantine, through lockdown.
through lockdown, enforced upon me,
Yeah.
there's that little victimhood. Because we're all in
Oh,
lockdown, honey. Like, it's universal.
oh,
What a
yeah,
gift. What a gift at a time in your life when you are absolutely capable of looking at this
yes,
and working on this. Because,
yeah,
listen, 3 years ago, probably not so much.
no way,
You had a
no,
fraction of the tools that you have now.
yeah,
What a gift
yeah,
that it's being shown to you
yeah,
while you happen to be in lockdown with the rest of the world,
yes,
that the whole busy being busy,
yeah.
doing for everybody else.
Zigzagging,
Yeah,
as
yeah.
Brene Brown calls it, zigzagging.
Yeah,
I'm,
yep,
I'm,
zigzagging,
I'm a
is
master at
exposed like, oh
zigzagging.
shit, after all this work, I'm still actually not really okay with me
Yeah,
and being alone with me.
yeah,
It's time for me to, like, oh, what a gift that you get to, right? What can we
yeah,
create from this? Remember
yeah,
that drama triangle work we did at the retreat? What
yes,
can I create from this? This is a
yeah,
challenge. A gauntlet has been laid down. What a
yeah,
gift. Okay.
yeah, absolutely. And I actually love hate it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Like when I love it, I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. I can do this. Oh, I'm just gonna have a bath and use some of those lovely bath salts and do a body scrub and I feel amazing.
Hmm.
And then when I hate it, I'm like, I just want my people.
Yeah. Well, and this is where you know um, the love languages for me. I love working with the love languages
Mhm.
for self love.
Yes.
Um, and for those of you that may not be familiar with the 5 love languages, incredible concept by Mr. Gary Chapman,
Hmm.
who wrote a book about this. Gosh, I think going back into the 70s. And I highly recommend the book. And I always put out this warning. So, like, as a very modern woman and a feminist, this book was written by a middle-aged white male. Hello, in the like 70s, right, or 80s. So there is some traditional gender norms to navigate within that book,
Hmm.
but it's worth it
Okay.
because
Yes.
there's gold dust in there. I'm
Yeah.
like, he's not using any gay relationships as examples in there.
Hmm.
It's very, very traditional, okay,
Yeah.
in that way. Not derogatory, but
Yeah.
very traditional.
Yeah.
Um, and so he talks about us all having a primary love language.
Yeah.
And what he means by that, this is the method in which we give and receive love most authentically. most genuinely. And when we are loved in our own love language, it's the kind of love that kind of makes our heart press up against its rib cage. You know what I mean? It swells our heart with like, ooh, I'm so loved right now. Yeah. And that most of us have a primary, and some of us even have a secondary, but we all have one primary love language.
Yeah.
And so there is physical touch,
Mm-hmm.
receiving gifts
Mm-hmm.
is a love language, acts of service
Mm-hmm.
is a love language, quality time is a love language, and words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the 5 love languages. And so I'm a physical touch
Yeah. Same.
with a secondary ish in words of affirmation.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so what I kind of, self-love has been like the buzzword for the last 2 years, to the point
Yeah.
where you're like, if I see another self-love article,
Yeah.
boom, right? Like self-love, you got to really love
Yeah.
yourself, right? And I really hate there's a very common theme that runs through for single women, especially.
Yes.
The moment, it's kind of like, oh, you just got to love yourself. And then,
Yeah.
and it's like this patronizing hand patting your hand going, oh, you just don't love yourself enough yet. That's
Yeah.
why you haven't met the right one.
Yeah. I
And I'm
hate that.
like, yeah, F you, because I meet plenty of women that do all the self-love, and still haven't met their person, or,
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
having a shit show out in the dating world. Okay.
Yeah.
However, it is crucial because, we were just talking about, I know I'm worthy of that love. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
if I don't know how to love myself, how the hell am I going to show anybody else how to love me?
Yes.
And how am I going to really receive love if I
Yeah.
don't love myself first, if I don't realize that I'm worthy of it?
Yeah.
So, what I try to do is I take this 5 love languages, and when I'm working with couples or with single people, I alternate inwards. So
Yes.
when you're reading all these articles, and when you're reading the top 10 self-love tips, all this stuff, right? If you're doing all the things and most of them aren't in your love language, right?
Yes.
So if you're sitting there doing work, doing affirmations,
Yeah.
yeah, and I love myself today, right?
Yeah.
Looking in the mirror going, I love myself today. And you're like, oh, this, or you're taking all the bubble baths. Yeah. You're taking all the bubble baths. You're taking all the, or you're going out and buying yourself stuff. Like, I love myself, so I'm going to buy myself those Louis Vuittons, right? Like, I love myself. And you're feeling empty. It's
Yes.
because you're taking on the tips. You're not doing it wrong. Like, I
Yeah.
want to say, because some people are doing all this stuff that's being recommended, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, I still don't feel like I love myself any more than when I did these 10 things.
Yeah.
And it's just that you're not focusing it in through a lens of your own love language.
Yes. So
So,
having this understanding, like for me, I know that my love languages are touch
mhm,
and quality time.
yep. Which
So
is
for
why
me,
doing the bubble bath is so magical for you.
exactly.
Because you're
Whereas,
getting that physical sensation and it's time just for you where
yeah.
you get to relax.
And then if I also listen to a podcast or some music that I love, brilliant.
Yes. You
Whereas
know,
for me, saying affirmations in the mirror, not really, doesn't
yeah,
really do anything.
yeah, absolutely. And, for someone like you, you also need to be really careful because if you're constantly running around loving up on everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
right, you're not going to be giving yourself the quality time
Yes, absolutely.
that you need.
Yeah,
Um, and kind of going back to the earlier part of this conversation, like that
yeah,
alone time, as uncomfortable as it is,
yeah,
is that being able to, and for a lot of us, what this pandemic has done is it's forced us to slow down.
yeah,
And many of us have a lot more time on our hands than we
yeah,
did a
yeah,
month and a half ago.
yeah,
Um, and so for you, using that quality time and using self-love techniques, and sometimes you can just reframe it, like, somebody might not be a physical touch person,
yeah,
but they go get a massage because it's a real treat. They're buying
Yeah.
themselves a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other times, and you see this in relationships, people always say, how do I know what my love language is? And I always say, well, first of all, there's a quiz, which I would definitely recommend taking.
Yeah.
The 5lovelanguages.com. Take the
Yes.
quiz. But also, how do you show love? And what are the things that you complain about the most
Yeah.
in your relationship, right?
Yeah.
So how I know that my partner's love language, who before he even took the quiz, I knew was quality time,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the thing that he complains about the most.
Yeah.
And a really good example, so people that have quality time, eye contact's really important,
Mm-hmm.
because that's undivided. Quality time is about undivided attention.
Yeah.
So when he walks into the room and I'm on my phone doing what I'm
Mm.
doing, and he starts talking, but I'm not listening, right? He gets really upset.
Mm.
And what he says is, why is what's happening on there more important than me?
Yeah.
And that's like, right? Deep.
Yeah.
And so now, I'm like, I was on the phone before you came in. Like, you didn't even say, excuse me, right? Like, I'm busy, like, and I'm working as well. Like, I get all sorts of, was getting all sorts of defensive. And now,
Yeah.
no matter what, when he comes in the room, and he doesn't, whatever he wants to chat about, I
Yes.
stop what I'm doing, I put down my phone, and I give him my attention.
Nice.
Even when he's chatting some stuff that I have absolutely no idea,
Yeah.
right? Maybe it's some IT stuff, and I like, right? Like, I'm trying not to glaze over, right? Like, yeah. I just try to give him my attention,
Yeah.
because that's what makes him feel loved.
Yeah.
It's the other reason why sometimes when we are on those holidays, right? And I take that alone time, he kind of goes, oh, right? He doesn't
Yeah.
stop me from doing it,
Yes.
but he'll be like, what do you mean you're going to go off and have lunch by yourself?
Yeah.
And I have to stand firm in that.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, it's quality time.
Yeah.
So, I looked at how he tries to show love. He never buys me
Yeah.
gifts. He never buys me gifts. I always bitch at Christmas. There would be some gifts underneath that tree. You know, and and I buy him stuff all the time. But even though
Yeah.
it's not about gifts for me, it's more of like, and it's always stuff like clothing. So it's always touch stuff, if you will, right? Like stuff that he's going to feel good wearing.
Yeah.
So it's like shirts and things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But that focusing that. So for me, like, so what's really tough, right? My number one love language, physical touch. One of my
Yeah.
absolute favorite ways to show that to myself is by getting a massage. One of the
Yes.
things that's absolutely not on the list of activities I can do during the lockdown,
Yes.
going to the Thai ladies for a good rub down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sucks.
Yeah. It does. Yeah.
So I've been wearing super, comfortable clothes.
Yeah.
I work from home. I do usually see clients as well. I'm not obviously seeing clients in person, but
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing a way more dressed down than I normal working from home mode.
Yeah.
Not that I get terribly dressed up or anything. It's like I'm not walking around my house in a suit, but because it feels good,
Yes.
and it feels good on my body.
Yeah.
And when I do stuff like doing yoga,
Yeah.
is linked to physical touch for me, because
Mhm.
it makes my body feel good.
Yes.
And when I don't do it, I have to really question what's going on with me,
Yeah.
because it's not like, for some people it's it has nothing, it's not linked to anything deeper.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, I know that this makes me physically feel better,
Yeah.
and that's one of my love languages. So what's going on that I don't want to show myself that love?
Yeah.
So again, words of affirmation, things like guided meditations with affirmations in it are amazing.
Mhm.
Sitting down and journaling and writing out positive things about yourself. Great. Also great for quality time people.
Yeah.
But even if you just frame it as, I'm going to give myself the gift of
Yeah.
journaling today.
Yeah.
Then if you're receiving gifts, you're in.
Yes.
Words of affirmation, sometimes it's just reframing it in a way that it speaks to that love language. You know, it's a great act of service to myself to do yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great act of service for myself to make this chocolate cake and eat it all by myself.
Yeah,
You know,
like
physical touch, I
makes
don't
you
know. I guess
feel
I'd have to
good.
rub the icing all over myself, but that's a whole nother interview. You know, is so that to me, you know, those five love languages. And if you're, you know, if you're in a relationship and you're locked down, and now we've already kind of talked about like, yeah, of course you're all stressed out. Yeah, of course
Yeah.
everything that they're doing is on your getting on your nerves. You're like, will
Yeah.
you stop fucking breathing already? Um, you know, like, so it's time to delve into your self love, but it's also
Yeah.
more now than ever. Maybe your partner just got made redundant.
Mm-hmm.
Tune into their love language, show them love in the way it resonates most for them because they
Mm-hmm.
need it right now.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they're working like crazy. Maybe they've been made redundant. You know, maybe they're whatever,
Yeah.
physically ill,
Yes.
you know, or maybe they're being a right bastard.
Yeah.
Hit them with love in their love language.
Yeah.
And you know, typically you can figure it out. If, you know, can't get them to sit down and take a quiz. Is looking at the way that they show love,
Yes.
the way they kind of maybe indirectly or directly ask for love, or the
Yeah.
things, like I said with my husband, things that they complain about the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if they're complaining about they're the only one that does anything around the house, and a really great story is, you know, man has a one partner has a physical touch as their main love language, and the other is acts of services.
Yeah.
Right, so they wind up having this wonderful evening together, and they, you know, have incredible sex, and they feel so connected, right? Like this one partner with a physical touch has never felt more connected to their partner, and they're just overflowing with this sense of love. And you know, and they get done, and he gets up the next day and goes to work, and the other partner, where it's acts of service, was like, that was a great night. And then she looks down the floor and says, motherfucker couldn't even pick up his pants. Like, if he loved me, he wouldn't have left his underwear on the floor for me to clean up. So yeah, tune in to that love
Yeah.
language of, it might be the thing they nag about the most. That kind
Yeah.
of hit is a good hint. Like, you never
Yeah.
say I love you, or you never say I look nice, right? Or
Yes.
you never tell me how you feel about me. Chances are words of affirmation
Yeah.
is one of their love languages.
Yeah.
And you know, there really isn't any gender specificity to, like,
No.
all men are not physical touch just because we think all men love sex. No,
Mm-hmm.
not true at all.
Yeah.
You know, and all women aren't acts of service because we think they're socialized to be caregivers and, you know, housekeepers. No, not at
Yeah.
all. You know,
Yeah.
like, ridiculous. Um, so just try to really make a point to say, what is something I can do today in my love language for myself? And what is something I can do today for my partner in their love language? And it doesn't
Beautiful.
matter if it's a little thing or a big thing. And let me tell you, if you're like physical touch, it doesn't have to be this big elaborate massage. You
No.
know, if my partner passes me in the kitchen and touches the small of my back as he goes
Yeah.
past, if he reaches over and just rubs me, you know, as absent-mindedly as we're watching TV, I'd like a little kitty cat, like, oh, that's so good. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be this big thing.
Yeah.
It could be holding hands walking down the street if it's physical touch.
Yeah.
It could be their leg against yours,
Yeah.
that connection that we feel. You know, the acts of service doesn't have to be cleaning the entire house
Yeah.
or cleaning out the entire garage. You know,
Yeah.
the act of service could be doing the dishes after,
Yeah.
offering to do. Hey, what is it you need help around
Yes.
this weekend?
And I suppose for people who are in relationships where they can talk about things,
Mm-hmm.
then doing the five love languages quiz together could be a fun activity.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't assume that your partner's not going to be interested.
Mm-hmm.
You know, again, the story I'm making up
Yeah.
is that, you know, my fella or my woman, right? However you term it, or, my partner would never do something like that.
Yeah.
And, I always, to me, how I know I'm starting to make up stories and I'm engaging with limiting beliefs is when I hear those kind of finite words. Never,
Yeah.
always,
Yeah.
yeah, every time, anytime, that are just all encompassing. I have
Yeah.
this little, now, right? I have this little beep, beep, beep warning. And I'm like, oh, I just said never. What was that whole sentence? And then I play out, and I was, oh, I'm like way into making up a story I didn't even. That might have started days ago and didn't realize. Because now
Yeah.
I'm in the I never phases.
Yeah.
He never, she never, they
Yeah.
always.
That's one of
And it's
the
like,
things I've
always, every
noticed
time,
most.
for every time. No,
Yeah.
never. So yeah. So that's kind of like I think is the important. And I kind of goes back to that same be kind, be quick to
Yeah.
forgive,
Yeah.
give each other a wider berth now,
Yeah.
because you're going to be making mistakes and falling short all over the place. This is
Yeah.
intense.
Yes. It's really intense.
The amount of time together is intense. The amount of uncertainty
Yes.
swirling around is intense. What's going to happen with the economy? Am I going to have a job? Or are we going
Yeah.
to be able to go on holiday? I mean, whatever it
Mhm.
is.
Yes.
Is there going to be what I need? I mean, listen, I was having anxiety just going to the shops for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Same. Yeah.
And it followed me a week afterwards because there was something about going into a store and it looking like the zombie apocalypse, right? Like
Yeah.
looking like Walking Dead, where
Yeah.
the entire meat aisle was stripped bare.
Yeah.
There was one sad pepper in the vegetable aisle. Like I found myself, even after supplies came back, I found myself, walking around, first of all, like hustling through that shop. Like, gotta go, gotta get my stuff, gotta
Yeah.
grab, and so I was rushing and I felt like I was in there for hours, but I was actually only in there for 30 minutes. And then I would come
Yeah.
home and I literally would lay on the sofa and pass out because
Yeah.
all that anxiety, I was like this the entire time.
Yeah.
And it just had to and even the other day I went and I still felt that kind of like, gotta move,
Yes.
do
Yeah.
do do do. It's like a Mission Impossible now. Like, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun. Oh shit, I'm not following the arrows.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Like,
so.
find the produce, stay away from that
Yes,
person, follow the arrow. Am I too close to that person? There's a colleague coming along. I mustn't get too close to them. Oh, I forgot. Are they organic eggs or are they free range? Oh no, the arrows are good. It's like constant.
I know, and it's like, yeah. I went to 7 stores looking for flour is the new toilet loo roll
Yeah.
paper. Yeah,
Yeah.
so so it's stressful out there
Yes.
in everyday little ways,
Yes.
and then even in the bigger picture ways.
Yes.
Like when the leader of your country, whether you like him or not, is in the hospital for
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
like it's like, oh,
Yeah.
when you're reading stories every single day
Yeah.
with death tolls and stories of people not being able to say goodbye to their loved ones,
Yeah.
oh, you know,
Yeah.
or people being absolute twats,
Yeah.
so then you can start going out. I saw this great meme. I went out for a walk today. I promptly got home and got on Facebook to rage about how many people were out for a walk today. It's like, but you were out for a walk too. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
it's
Such a
kind of
thing.
like, and the police have been transitioned into like, I mean, now they're the hall monitors. It's like, is that what they were trained to do? Is that what they, wanted to do when they
Exactly.
were a police officer? You think that was their dream when they was
Yeah.
in training, was to have to enforce? Are you 6 meters apart? I mean,
Yeah.
no police officer thought that when they went to the academy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that they were going to have to be patrolling parks and telling people they can't sunbathe or sit on a
Yeah.
park bench.
And I have had a run in with one of those police officers myself.
I know.
It really affected me actually
Yeah.
because I was all like, I was being all badass about it. Oh, I'm not going to be told what to do. I'm perfectly within the law. But actually, it affected me for days
Yeah.
because I got into conflict in myself about it.
Yep.
And I felt threatened. I felt afraid. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not, listen, it's not nice. Nobody wants to feel like a criminal
No,
when they're not doing anything criminal,
no.
But it's also that generosity. Like, do you think that cop really wants to treat people who are not criminals like
Yeah,
criminals?
I think not.
Probably not. He's got people
And
saying he has to do this, and you
yeah,
know, he's out there. He's got to get close to talk to people.
yeah.
And it's like,
Actually, I've got a different way of dealing with it now if it happens again, which is to
mhm,
say a lot less.
yeah,
Just to say what's necessary, what they
yeah,
need to know, not to
absolutely,
judge them.
yeah. And it's are all police officers wonderful, nice, happy, dory people? No, no. All coaches aren't. All
Yeah,
doctors aren't.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
there
yeah,
are bad, evil MFs
yeah.
um, in
And he might
churches.
have just been
You know what
having
I
a
mean? In
bad
churches, there's
day.
bad, evil people. I mean, everywhere you're gonna, there's gonna be people like that.
Yeah,
So but why not just come from a place of generosity first,
yeah,
instead of like, how very dare you?
yeah. Which is a place of fear, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Um, and actually, I didn't have my insurance sorted out properly. So if he had put my number through, my car registration through, and it had come up as I was insured for work, then I probably wouldn't have got stopped. So, what I did was got my insurance sorted out properly
yep,
because I don't normally do that sort of work. So it probably means I won't get stopped anyway.
yep. And listen, we again, a few ruin it for the whole.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there's been an increased amount of people speeding in residential areas because there's not as much cars on the road. There's an
Well, I
increased level of, you have stories of people driving hours to go to the coast,
yeah,
and when they're not supposed to be doing that, and
yeah,
driving 4 hours to pick up a $15 eBay item they bought.
yeah,
And I mean, part of you is like, well, I'm in the car, right? Like, so it's not like, but you're probably going to stop and get gas. You're going to stop in some shop
yeah,
somewhere. So it's like, that area may have not had anybody who was exposed come in there. I
yeah.
mean, there was that
And
one town in northern Italy, Lombardy. It was like somebody literally, and it's not a huge tourist area. It's not a part
mm,
of Italy that's a huge tourist area. But it was like one person literally just seemed to walk through the town one day, touch a handful of things, have a glass of wine, blah, 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 and next thing you know, it was like rampant.
yeah,
So, I kind of get it.
yeah,
And that, it's the same thing. It's like, I don't want to live in a police state. I don't want the
yeah,
military on the street. So,
yeah,
and that's what happened in Spain and Italy. And it's like, I'm gonna stay in
yeah,
unless I have to go to the shops or walk the dog.
yeah,
Fortunately, have a lovely communal garden that I can go sit in.
yeah,
And I know I'm very fortunate. That's not for everybody.
yeah,
But I'm gonna, for the first time in my life, I'm not gonna try to buck the man,
yeah.
and I'm just gonna
It's
behave
hard out when you're
myself.
a rebel. It's hard when
Yeah,
you're a rebel.
exactly. I'm
It's like
just
you're
gonna behave
hardwired
myself.
for doing what you're not allowed to do.
Hmm.
And I've actually started using the community garden, and it's delightful.
Yeah.
And I've never used it before because I didn't feel entitled. I felt it was for the children.
Well, what's interesting? I've gotten a lot of comments about how amazing the block of flats I live in.
Hmm.
So one of the first weekends of the lockdown, we had a RuPaul style drag race with a bunch of the kids and fathers and mothers and myself and Mark. And I came up with the idea. I said, let's just do something absolutely ridiculous and silly. And we did a social distanced catwalk, and everybody picked their song, right?
Right.
Like I walked to Sissy That Walk, yeah? One of the little girls did Dude Looks Like a Lady. It was
Right.
hilarious, right? And we all outrageously overdid our makeup, and we did not do Mother Rue proud. It was a right. Michelle Visage would have torn us apart, but we just did something silly, and we put a little poster up a little note up, and we invited everybody to come and participate, or even just come to their windows as a form of entertainment.
Yeah.
And I got the loveliest note from one of these little old ladies who probably has no idea who RuPaul is. And she put it up and she said, I just want to thank everybody that put together the RuPaul's Drag Race in the
Oh,
back garden. It was such a lovely, light-hearted, fun thing in such a dark and scary time.
yeah.
The next week, 2 weekends later, we did Easter weekend. We did a Easter bonnet parade where everybody made their own Easter bonnets, and I took all the tissue paper I have left over from the retreats and made flowers and decorated the garden. And then
Nice.
last weekend we had a bring your own picnic, and it only takes one person
Yeah.
to start that kind of communal movement. And
Yeah.
last weekend we had the bring your own picnic, and all the little different, we had the most people participate, and they just
No.
took a little patch of garden. We all stayed social distance,
Yeah.
and I had some music, and we had a barbecue that each family could use at a time. And it was, so be the change. If you need that connection, if you're
Yeah.
feeling isolated, I've checked in on all my elderly neighbors 3 times
Yeah.
over, because I would want somebody to do that for my mom or
Yeah.
dad. They're no longer with us, but I wouldn't be there. They live in the
Yeah.
States.
Yeah.
But also it helped me stay connected as part of
Yeah.
a community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, your old British people, they don't take help from anybody. They're like, these people are like, are you kidding me? I lived on rations, a pack of bacon and 6 eggs for a week. Like, I'm sitting there with this huge box of like potatoes and chicken, because I'm like, and they're like, can I take one potato? I'm like, I told you, take whatever you need and leave the rest. Well, how about just one? And I'm like, one? What are you going to do with this? Like, just take it. I'll just take one
No.
egg. I'm like, no, you take 6 eggs.
No.
But it's so funny because they're like, I had to force it on them because I asked, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, if I get really desperate. I'm like, why are you waiting till you're really desperate?
Yeah.
So let me tell you, if you showed up at my mom's house during a pandemic and at her age, she would have been like, here's my list.
Yeah.
There's 3 different stores you have to go to. And when you're
Yeah.
done, if you could fix this and that in the house, I mean, like, she would have no
Yeah.
problem taking that help. I just found it a really funny
It's so
cultural
British.
difference,
Yeah.
They just keep calm, carry on, grit of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. My mum's shopping lists are always very minimal.
Mhm.
A bag of salad, some vine tomatoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So,
So,
so there's something else that I wanted to ask you about,
yeah.
which is the thing for people who are online dating and video
Yep.
dating
Yep.
about falling in love in a
Oh, yeah.
pandemic.
Yes. Yes. So, something I had talked about a few weeks ago, and blogged about as well, is the pitfalls of falling in love during a pandemic. So we talked about this being a traumatic event,
Mm-hmm.
and when our brains are in trauma. Actually,
Yes.
I guess the best way to phrase this is that the chemical levels of falling in love
Yes.
and the chemical levels of being in extreme under a threat
Yeah.
are actually the same.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it can be very easy to trauma bond with
Yeah.
someone because we're feeling so under threat and all this uncertainty, this fear, anxiety, all this stuff's coming up, right?
Yeah.
It can make us attach to someone more than is necessary, more than is really deserving.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just was kind of really like, I'm not saying that love, it's not possible to fall in love during this pandemic. I'm
No.
just saying, bear in mind that your hormone levels, your cortisol levels, everything is heightened because
Yeah.
your body, your brain is going into protect mode.
Yes.
Regardless of whether or not you feel like, obviously there's no zombies in the street, right?
Yeah.
But like, regardless, your brain's threat response is going
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And that threat response releases chemicals to help regulate emotions, right? So that you don't do something stupid like run right at the bear
Yeah.
that's about to eat you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's very similar to the cortisol levels and the hormones that are going on when we're falling in love. So we can
Okay.
feel this incredible sense of belonging and attachment and connection and a
Yeah.
faux intimacy because we are in that state, heightened state anyways.
Yeah.
And it's a very common thing. People fall in love with the firefighters that pulled them out of a burning building.
Yeah.
I use the movie Speed with Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves as an example, right? Like there they were careening on this rigged to blow bus, and of course at the end, what happened? It was a love story,
Yeah.
and being in a traumatic event with another human being creates a bond.
A bit like
And that's
prison
why,
visitors.
say again?
A bit like prison visitors falling in love with murderers.
Absolutely, but it's a survival skill. So
Yeah.
you can't, if a community has a better chance of fighting off a threat than an individual by themselves.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you want to have somebody, and that's why I said if you feel like you're single and that sense of loneliness and that you don't have your person is heightened right now, like of
Yeah.
course it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're not a strong, independent woman. It doesn't mean that you're
Yeah.
not a guy who has all of it together. It's a natural response because you're under
Yeah.
threat, and so you're looking for your defenses, and you're going to have better defenses with more people than one person.
Yeah.
So when two people are in, a situation like, there are a lot of people fell in love that were walking home during 9/11 together, covered in
Yeah.
dust.
Yes.
You just cling on to like a life raft,
Yeah.
right? You just cling on, and that's what I just wanted to warn. Like, listen, slow your roll, and if it's really meant to be, and you really, this is a genuine connection, it's gonna be there.
Yes.
You don't need to now quarantine with them because
Yeah.
you met them a week ago,
Yeah.
or go out on 2 dates and start calling them your boyfriend or girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
It's like, what's the rush? And again,
Yeah.
it's that scarcity. There's not
Yeah.
enough. There's not enough of me to fight what's going on. I need someone else.
And in fact, that you don't need to risk your own health by sneaking off to meet them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And if you're watching this and you've done that, I'm not judging you. Can't say that I wouldn't have done the same thing probably.
Yeah.
I'm not someone that comes to relationship coaching and dating coaching from a place of like, I've always been the Zen master in relationships. I am a recovering relationship train wreck. Choo choo. So the things I had done for love, or what I thought was love, or I desperately wanted to be love, if we're getting real honest,
Yes.
I'm sure I would have broken pandemic quarantine too.
Yes.
And I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, hey, this doesn't mean if you've fallen in love that I'm not saying it's a huge mistake. I'm just saying be mindful.
Yes.
Yeah? Pump the brakes a little bit. It's a journey,
Yes.
not a race.
Yeah.
Pace yourself.
And actually, one of the things which seems so very obvious, but it was like a eureka moment for me,
Mm-hmm.
is that in my moments of great discomfort of being alone,
Yeah.
and of there being no possibility for dating at all for ages, so I'm not going to meet my person this week, this month, has been that somehow I noticed that, this is the feeling that has kept me in relationships which didn't serve me actually,
Mm-hmm.
which seems so obvious, such an obvious thing to say. And it is such an obvious thing to say, but to actually embody that as a realization it feels quite enlightening actually.
Listen, I remember I was about 25 years old and I was I'd been in a long-term relationship and I was living with somebody and the relationship was not going well. And it had gotten, we were never compatible, but at least we had the bliss of
Yeah.
the falling in love stage, right?
Yeah.
And so it just was not working, and it wasn't where either one of us was supposed to be. And I remember saying, because we lived together, and I remember saying to myself, like, well, I can't leave because I wouldn't be able to afford this apartment by myself. And very interestingly, yeah, the exact same reason my mother used to use and give herself and us for not leaving my father.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And, and meanwhile, his business had failed, and we were surviving on her teaching salary alone.
Huh.
But she still didn't
Yeah.
matter, believed that she couldn't do it without him.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to myself, like, there's no way. And I think the apartment was like $750 a month, right? It's like, there's no way I can do this.
Yeah.
We wound up breaking up. The lease came up. We broke up. I moved to New York City. It was my jumping point. And found myself in a one-bedroom apartment by myself paying $950 a month.
Amazing.
What
Yeah.
the, you
Yeah.
know? And then 3 days after I moved in, 9/11 happened. And
Wow.
I lost my job within a month and still was
Wow.
able to find another job and still pay that $950 a month. But I
Wow.
had kept myself stuck in that scarcity of I can't do this on my own.
Yes. Yes.
Is it nice to have somebody else to do it with? Are there benefits to it? Yeah. Could you have a bigger apartment or a bigger mortgage if two people are paying it? Sure. Like if you want to
Yeah.
talk about practicalities, would it
Yes.
be nice to have somebody, here to yeah, sure. But,
To drink coffee with on the couch in the morning.
it's not necessary for your
Yeah.
survival anymore.
Yeah.
We're no longer cave people fighting off wild lions.
Yeah.
It's not necessary for our survival anymore. We can
Yeah.
actually survive and thrive on our own.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
I love this.
Well, I know we're running a little long, so I hope that's okay.
Because it's just such an interesting topic. I could just talk about it all day.
Well,
Oh, thank you.
I wanted to mention that one of the things that I wanted to give a little bit of a free gift to anybody that's watching, and I'll be putting the link in the comments of this video on Claire's side, just as a little pandemic gift from me to you. And it's a little tool that I developed called the Morning Tidy Up. And it's basically a 5-minute journaling tool that helps to clear out all the negativity, the anxiety, the fear, and help you
No,
decide how you want to show up in your relationship for love, as a single person, whatever, today. So
no,
I'm happy to give that away to all your viewers, and I'll put
thank
that
you.
link in the comments. And just thanks for having me. It's been an honor and a
Oh,
privilege.
thank you so much, Jessica. I just love your wisdom and everything you've learned over the years, and it's just a joy. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
And if people want to find you, you've got a Facebook page.
Yes, so it's Jessica Elizabeth Opert on Facebook, on Instagram, and the website is jessicaelizabethcoaching.com. But if you
Thank you.
Google Jessica Elizabeth Opert, you're going to find me too.
Thank you.
So yeah, find me on Instagram, find me on Facebook. I have a little Facebook group you'll see on my Facebook page for all my single ladies that Claire's a part of as well.
Oh, it's such fun.
Fierce, yeah, rock stars. We're doing a pandemic book club. We're reading Brene Brown's Rising Strong right now, which is
Yeah,
fab.
it's
I'm so
amazing.
glad I'm so glad we're doing that. I'm loving it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I try to offer all kinds of different resources to extend that offering of compassion and help. And like I always say, it wasn't just you that missed relationships 101. You didn't play hooky that day in school. Like, we all miss that class because it doesn't exist. We don't have a society formal structure for learning about love and relationships. And many of us, not all of us, many of us didn't have very good teachers at home either.
Mhm.
So where the actual fuck were we supposed to learn this? And why is this one of the main areas in our lives where we walk around saying things like, I should just know how to do this?
Yeah,
We wouldn't say that if you were a first time, if you were a new beginner in yoga, you wouldn't have
yes,
that expectation that you'd be teaching the yoga class.
yeah,
You know, like we go to college and we get degrees and certifications and training to do all the things that we want to do in life. If I wanted to knit, I need to learn how to knit first.
Yeah.
So why, take that olive branch of compassion, lean into it. You're not alone. It's not just you, right? We all miss that class. And that's really the place I come from in my coaching is I want to teach you the skills and the tools that you just didn't have a chance to learn.
Lovely.
Good.
Thank you,
You're
Jessica.
welcome.
Have a lovely rest of the day.
You too, lady. Thank
So
you.
lovely to speak to you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye.